Hello everyone, my name is Michael and welcome back to Sovereign Gaming. So as you can see on screen, I am just doing some terrain paint when it comes to the grass. The grass is actually from the Sunlit Textures download that I downloaded. I believe it was Martine who has those downloads available. Like, they have been around for a while, but they are certainly worth it to have in your repertoire if you are someone who does still play with The Sims 3's Create a World tool. So I certainly recommend continuing to download his stuff. Like, it still works and all that, and it's a very easy download. Anyways, I love the grass textures from Sunlit Tides. There are two kinds of textures, if I remember correctly, and maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but there's that dark green texture that you see me using for more of the lush grass, and then there's a more yellowy grass texture that is being used as well periodically. I think I've used them in the terraced hills of the train tunnels. And by the way, yes, we are in Sim City. Okay, there's the logo and we are good to go. Okay, so the focus of this episode is really just to kind of finish up some of the land work that is going on for the government campus. So I just really wanted to finish up the shape of it, just get an overall lay of it, and just to see where that leaves the rest of Sim City. The next episode, I will certainly get into doing some work with the water, so I guess I will struggle with that in front of everybody for all to see. I mean, if you're going to struggle with painting water and all that, you may as well do it in front of everyone that can possibly watch. Obviously, when it comes to the different kinds of textures and that, color is extremely important because it's going to convey the themes that I really want to communicate within the SimCity Sims 3 build that I have going on here. I've mentioned it many times, but I do want the downtown core and the surrounding suburban neighborhoods to be more of a tropical / temperate theme in terms of climate. And then as terrain increases in height, I'll probably I'll probably change the ecosystem that surrounds that. So as we get higher, I'll probably add in more alpine trees and pine trees and all of that. It's more reminiscent of California because if I remember correctly, and I've never really traveled throughout California extensively, but in California, you can ski and surf in the same day depending on the altitude that you are currently in. And so that's something that I feel would be necessary to include in this map because The Sims 3 is really a 4 seasons game. Like, you can clearly tell that it is a game that is made for all of the seasons. However, they've thrown palm trees into the mix, so I've got to make that make sense somewhere, at least in the Sims lore, or to my own personal thing there. Placing those taller palm trees, on the other hand, was kind of a little tougher because I really had to eyeball it. So I'm not too sure if they are completely evenly spaced, but I was really counting the tiles on the sidewalk, specifically like the left-hand sidewalk, in order to determine if it was evenly spaced or not. So hopefully they turn out okay. The palm trees, by the way, came with the Showtime expansion pack, so that is why A, I have access to them, and B, that I am using them here now. Even though I am experimenting a little bit with the different kinds of palm trees that I want to use within the city. I mean, I've got some World Adventures palm trees in there. I believe I also have some more palm trees from Showtime and even a little bit from other expansion packs that I can't quite put a finger on. But anyways, the idea with these palm trees, again, is just to kind of give a bit of a mix here. And I thought that these taller palm trees really help to signify that the areas within the government campus and within the surrounding downtown core were something that was established early on. And so that's really why these taller palm trees have come about to be. I really did want a taller tree within those medians, so I went ahead and I selected them, and even though they won't be necessarily exclusive to the government campus here, they will certainly be something that I will continue to use throughout the SimCity region as I continue to build it. Another very important detail that I actually missed when doing the seawall was putting in some street lights. And to be honest, I didn't want to think too hard on this, and I figured that the seawall would actually be one of the first features of the city that would go in. So I really went into the objects selection from Create a World, and I decided to use, I believe it's also called the laissez-faire light. It was the one I used in Old Town, but I wanted to use the single one because I really only wanted one side of the seawall to be lighted. You see, at nighttime, which is a very important part of the Sims 3 gameplay experience, I really wanted my world to be well lit in areas where it made sense. So in the downtown core and in the and on the seawall really makes sense for me as to where the lighting should be taking place. And so that's why I really decided to decorate the seawall with all of these different kinds of lights. And because they were an older style, I felt that they really fit the energy and fit the vibe that I was really going for. I'm going to be doing some more experimenting off camera, but I'm thinking about expanding the grid. And by that I mean expanding the downtown grid and doubling its size facing westward, or at least adding in another block. It just kind of feels a little empty there, and I'm not too sure about it actually. So I'm gonna experiment on that a little off camera here. So if it feels off-centered to you as you watch this video, don't worry, because I am actually experimenting and seeing how that's gonna work and turn out as we speak. So there is certainly that to look forward to, and I suppose I might even film it as well. So who knows, I might just tease you guys with an extended grid and then completely kibosh it. The only reason why I would be reluctant to expanding that grid a whole other city block is because the city blocks are already quite large. I mean, there's 4 50 by 50 lots that can fit within a single city block, and I don't want to take up too much land with the downtown core. Even though I love downtown urban areas, especially in The Sims 3, like Bridgeport is indeed one of my favorite worlds to play in, I don't want to completely dominate the landscape with urban gameplay. I want to balance it with a little bit of suburban gameplay as well. So having single family homes that are on larger lots is certainly something that I want to explore in this world and to actually deliver. Same with mansion play and all that, and even rural play. I want to get it all and capture it all within the SimCity world build that I'm doing here. So that's why expanding the downtown grid will be something that serves as more of an experiment to me. And in fact, I'm going to do it right before I get into the city plaza area that I have alluded to before in previous videos, so that I can, commit to an actual downtown layout. My other thing with extending the downtown layouts is really identifying neighborhoods that I want to actually have present within the downtown core. So urban neighborhoods like, I don't know, some sort of a Chinatown or a fusion Asian town of some sort would be something that I am considering. And those kinds of neighborhoods really add life within an urban core. And so, that is something that I do want to consider going forward, is how much of that I want to add into the urban core, what is the focus of the SimCity world here, and how do I balance that with all the other styles of gameplay that I know that players enjoy. For me, one of the most important things about developing this SimCity world is really being able to cater to all kinds of play styles. I know I just literally mentioned it, but when you think about it, there's a lot to cater to. We have horses in the game. When we look at the entire Sims 3 franchise, we also have future play. So that's something else that I have to consider. And that's really going to take place for the future play in the form of certain lots here and there, but that's something we will get into when I actually export the world and play it in game to develop the lots. So yeah, that is something that I really want to take into consideration. I don't want the downtown core to just be a smattering of high-rise buildings, although those will certainly be present with those high-rise shells. I really want the downtown core to feel like a neighborhood in of itself, and to have like little micro neighborhoods as well, such as that Chinatown or Asian fusion town area that I had mentioned before. So there's a lot of consideration that I am putting into place, and I don't want the downtown core to just be some sort of a grid either. So that's really what I am kind of having to consider here, especially when it comes to extending the grid. Like, how much is it gonna, like, how much suburban and rural gameplay am I taking away for this urban experience? Another neighborhood that I am also considering is some sort of a mixed income neighborhood, like a place where you could find starter homes and all that within the urban city. So that's something else I am taking into consideration, as well as like maybe some sort of a transitional neighborhood, like a neighborhood where that is being gentrified, for example. And there we would probably find a bunch of row houses or townhouses, and seeing that kind of architectural style there. But I kind of want to know what you have to think on different urban neighborhoods. And if you have any ideas, I really do want to hear about them at this stage in the game. I mean, I haven't exported the world yet, and I probably won't for at least a couple of months out. So yeah, nothing is too late to change at this point. And yeah, as you can tell, I'm putting in the streetlights for the government campus, so I'm pretty set on the road layout here, but I haven't done so in the downtown core, and that is for the exact reasons I have just described before, and that is just allowing SimCity to develop as a neighborhood and to make it an interactive and engaging place in its downtown core, as opposed to it just being a collection of shell high-rises. There's also something else that I want to ask you guys about as well, and that is the idea of multiple community lots within SimCity. And the reason why I ask this is that I know that multiple schools, for example, don't play nice with each other. I mean, the kids just get confused over which school that they go to, and then they end up just going all kinds of crazy places. So I have a whole different plan with the school system that I will go over with you guys when the time comes. I'm thinking about placing it in the suburb as opposed to the inner city. But there are certain lots, like the grocery store lot, which would make sense to place at different points in the urban layout here. I mean, there is the Roaring Heights grocery lot, which I really like because it's in the form of a mid-rise building. It feels a little larger scale, so I kind of feel like it makes sense to have such a large-scale grocery store in the middle of a downtown urban core. But it would also make sense to have that convenience store from Showtime, if I remember correctly, placed in one of the urban neighborhoods. And it could also make sense to have one of the other more suburban looking grocery stores placed at a suburban center. So I just kind of wanted to throw it out there, like what you guys feel is appropriate for multiple types of community lots that are really the same. The one thing that I won't do is like multiple movie theaters. I don't care for that at all. Like, that is also another mess. But multiple restaurants, restaurant shells, or restaurant rabbit holes, I should say, is certainly something I would consider. I've played with that before and it hasn't seemed to have been crazy. And technically the bistro and the and I guess one of the diners like was put into Sunset Valley, so technically speaking, like they already function quite well with each other, if that makes any sense. But yeah, let me know what you think about multiple community lots that are the same. Another one that I'm considering is also the salon, only because I have a specific idea for the stylist in the downtown core, but it wouldn't make sense for them to have a tattoo artist there. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, it could make sense to have multiple stylist community lots in that case. But anyways, let me know what you think. Drop down a comment with your suggestions, and if you have any warnings about placing multiple community lots, drop that down in the comment section too. What's coming up next in the SimCity build is actually some more water work, and with that what I mean is I am going to finally do some terrain painting when it comes to the water and how it's going to sit and how it's going to look. So in the next episode, you might see me just experiment with the downtown grid just to see what the scale is if I were to extend it out westwards and how much land that really eats up. And you'll definitely see me actually attempt to paint the terrain in the water. I think it's about time that we started doing some little bits of waterwork here and there. And I think that it really needs to start driving home the look and feel that I am aiming to have of SimCity. So yeah, that's what you can certainly look forward to next. And if you aren't subscribed to me, feel free to do so, just so that you can keep up with the series and all that jazz. But yeah, overall, I am liking the final shape that the government campus has taken place. I feel like the government campus as its own neighborhood really serves the purposes that I need it to serve, being that it's a job location for the political and police enforcement careers, as well as the astronomy career, since I am plugging in the Into the Future Observatory Tower onto that very end there. So I'm very happy with the way that this has all turned out. However, I really do need to start bringing it together in terms of like that more tropical feel when it comes to the water. And that's really the biggest missing element here, and the biggest elephant in the room is when that water is going to get painted. Well, the good news is that I will be looking into painting that next episode. I really like how the government campus is coming together, especially after placing the different trees and flowers right in the campus there. I mean, when looking at it and and looking at the tunnels and the parking lot, or the police parking lot there, it really depicts a specific region that is going in there. And at the end of this video, I'll actually give us some real tours this time. I finally figured out what my recording cadence should be for these episodes, so I do apologize for not doing enough tours, but yeah, you'll get some tours today, and I will even drop a YouTube short that kind of shows off the progress so far, because it is quite a bit of progress at this time. This does take a lot of time. Anyways, I did want to talk about what the lot developments is actually going to look like. So I've mentioned it many times before, but the City Hall and the police station are both going to be using the Roaring Heights buildings for those rabbit hole buildings. However, the one thing that I really wanted to do with both of them is actually place them on some significantly high foundations, and then just drop in some really great fountain decor that's going to happen there. So I want to really depict that these are highly landscaped areas, and really something that the city takes a lot of pride in. So that's really going to be my approach to developing the lots going forward. Now, this is just a quick reminder. I can't actually go into the editing game mode to actually do the lot editing. So we have to wait until I finish the world and create a world, and then export it and actually edit it when it's uploaded into the game. But the vision here is really just to make each of these lots gorgeous and beautiful, and just looking like they are, you know, a real jewel in the crown of the city, and making them a destination that Sims will actually want to visit and want to go to and just roam around or walk around, which is why we have the seawall there. At the end of the build, it will either be the City Hall building or the Into the Future Observatory that end up being the tallest buildings in the city. So we've got both of the tallest pretty much located right here on the government campus. Actually, now that I've said it out loud, I'm pretty sure that it is actually the business shell building from Roaring Heights that is the tallest, but I could be wrong on that. Anyways, we've got some significantly tall buildings on the government campus here, and how the observatory is going to be included in all of this is that it is going to act as that focal point, like that ivory tower, so to speak, of technology in this case. So what's great about the observatory tower, or actually what's not great about it, is that it is quite an awkward shape. I have worked with it before, and even though I do want to place it on some sort of a foundation, the more I think about it, the more I think I just need to create an actual wall floor to place the foundation on top of, which sounds awkward when I say it out loud, but once you add in some additional landscaping and some foundations, you can actually manipulate the stairs so that it is more like a staggered staircase down onto ground level, which will eventually be what I'm doing there. But the important thing about the observatory is that not only is it a focal point of the city because it is at the northernmost tip of Sim City, but I also want to make it the location of the Into the Future portal as well. And the idea behind that is that it would be located in the laboratories just underneath the walls or the floor that the observatory tower would sit on top of. Once I actually get into the build though, that's when it'll all start to make a lot more sense. But I did want to give it some like secret laboratory vibes, or they've discovered aliens kind of here kind of vibes, and really play into that science fiction lore that The Sims really flirts with. When I do eventually export this world and make it available for download, it will not be considered an urban neighborhood download. And the reason for that is that you have to adjust some coding, I believe, to make the game read it as an urban neighborhood. And if I'm going to be honest with you guys, I am not messing with Create a World more than I have to. And if I remember correctly as well, when you redesignate it, or when you go into the code to actually designate it as an urban neighborhood, it really just removes the wild horses on it and some of the wild animals, and allows you to place the food truck. And if I also remember correctly, you can just download the food truck mod off of Mod The Sims. So I'm not too sure what exactly I would be missing here. The Mod The Sims food truck download would be something that I would easily just quickly snag up, just because food trucks make sense in this city. And and yeah, I just really don't like the idea of downloading mods or messing with the coding of this world more than I have to, especially after I've had that whole situation with the Sims 3 store and downloading extra things and having it block me from actually going into the editing game mode. So, you know, I'm not really gonna download pretty much any mods until I've got this world exported and actually functioning properly in my Sims 3 game. But that's just me. That's just me, and I'm just a little paranoid with working with Create a World, because it is such a sensitive program, and you have to really be careful and you have to know what you're doing. I would say that if you are starting out using Create a World, know how to recall a backup save file before you really attempt at doing anything. And then, you know, practice exporting a world, because exporting a world is another huge pain in the butt, and I haven't even done it yet here, and I am already not looking forward to it. so there's that. But yeah, if you're into Create a World, definitely practice using the tool first, including the exporting process, because that exporting process is a real nightmare. But if you've got an easy way to do it, you know what to do. Just leave a comment. I'll likely pin it for myself. Well, that about does it for the episode. Right now, what we have done is we've really done the detailing, including those pesky street lamps, where I had to be creative in the topics that I wanted to discuss over it, because there's only so many ways to describe the realignments of those street lamps there. So you are most certainly welcome that I didn't bore you with the idea that I needed to discuss what I was doing with those street lamps, since I've done so in the past. Anyways, I just want to end off this video by saying thank you. Thank you so much for watching. We are very much well underway within this Sin City build series. It is something that is super exciting. It's super fun for me to really create and to share that creation with you guys. And I hope that you're enjoying your time watching my videos as well and enjoying this series. Speaking of which, if you have enjoyed this series and if you would like to, you know, show some appreciation, you're more than welcome to like and subscribe. You're not pressured to do so, but you're more than welcome to join the small little corner of the internet that I have got going here. Anyways, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day.